Hello, honorable members of the clan. So, guys, let's continue with the nostalgic road trip because, guys, I feel like it's important to remind the people that destroyed this country. Fine, I get that other part and the horrible past that we had. Even though we had that horrible past, there are things that worked, you guys. You know, this reminds me of a say, do not fix what is not broken. But guess what they did? They went and tried to fix what is not broken. I realized that in my previous videos, I've been having a lot of air quotes. That's because South Africa almost seemed to be non-existent. Because when you want to say something as precise, you find yourself doing air quotes because everything in South Africa, you cannot confirm. It's a beautiful country, beautiful people, very friendly people, very amazing. I mean, I could go on and on and on about us, but we don't eat that. We don't live that as well. The outsiders will tell you beautiful things about us. Some of them, it makes them, you find yourself rolling your eyes like, if you only knew. We're good at putting face, but behind the scenes, it's a mess. It is a mess, you guys. Now, I was looking at our schooling setting or school setting. Remember back in the day, we used to have, obviously, primary school, high school, and then tertiaries were divided, I think, into 4. There was university, technical college, nursing schools, teachers colleges, and then from there are some artisans that will come out of that. But I want to talk about that setting, and I still to this day don't understand why they were dismantled. Why now you have the Wits Technikon, now part of the University of Johannesburg, and all these other stuff. I don't think we ever explained what that was about and what was the psychology behind that, because I can tell you the psychology behind university, technical, nursing schools, teachers colleges, etc. and so on. Now, it all starts, now that I'm thinking about it, in hindsight. Okay, I know I'm not going to speak, how do I put this? I know that our education system did not spread across equally in South Africa. I'm going to speak from the perspective of the schools that I went to. When I started school immediately into the Model C school. All right. Immediately after apartheid, we went into white school. However, I also did have a township education, but this was not necessarily a township education. It was more like a rural education, because when I started school, I studied it in Swaziland. I told you guys a story about how we landed in Swaziland because of black on black political violence in Hammarsdale. I think Hammarsdale was the hardest hit in the 80s, and my family was targeted because we were ANC. And there was an intel that came to my mom, like, you need to flee with the boys. Because at the time, the boys were the ones that were handed the firearm to first pew their parents, and then these guys will pew the boys. So we were fled to Swaziland, I think sometime in the mid-80s or something like this. I was still a tiny little boy. So that's besides the point. But no, the point is I started school there in Swaziland, and I learned most of my, I think would say grassroots academia in Isiswati. Okay, I've lost my Siswati anyways, because the last time I was there, I was 8 years old. Now I am well into my 40s. So anyways, now when I started school, I'm going to speak on the schooling system that I came into from Swaziland and right into the schools that were formerly known as white schools or Model Cs, or whatever it is that you guys call it. Now, when you went to these schools, and this makes perfect sense, and how the ANC, not the ANC right now, how the GNU could go back and really look at this model, because this model work. Can you bring it back so that you can fix this nonsense called our education system today? I'm very passionate about this, and I think every video that I'm going to talk about the education system then and now will always feature in these videos. But this is how my primary school was set. On the schooling premises, there used to be preschool. On the schooling premises. So our school was divided into 3 blocks. It was the preschool, it was the junior block, and then it was the senior block. Now, the interesting part about that, and the 4th one was the remedial school. Sorry, the 4th one was a remedial school. Now, let's start with kindergarten or preschool. Now, if my sisters, when they were still babies and my mom worked, we used to take our sisters along with us to the preschool section of the school. We would leave them there, they would learn whatever it is that they learn, and then we went to junior block because it was primary school. My brother, I think, was 2 classes or 3 classes ahead of me. And we would go to the junior block. But we were not allowed at the senior block because, of course, this is where I think at that time they were still using standards. I can't remember. From standard 2 all the way to standard 5, which is 4th grade to 6th grade, was in senior block. Junior block was, of course, the preschool, grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. All right? So that's how it was set, our school. And then out of the senior block, then they divided it into a remedial school. Now, today, when a child is a slow learner or experiencing some kind of a psychological condition, maybe that is ADHD, or it is dyslexia, or maybe learning disabilities as well, they're not able to tell. They're not able to tell today, unless a child acts in a particular way. That child is going to be labeled as rebellious or labeled as useless, or whatever it is that they say today. Because these are the things that we see. Now some of us that we understand some of the things, we'll be like, no, this child is not stupid. This child believes in learning by seeing things, touching things, practical things. Okay? That's when we'll discuss why these schools always had a guidance teacher. We used to have subjects, and I'm going to read these subjects down, that we used to do in primary school. Obviously, junior block, you're learning your ABCs, 1 plus 1, and basically you're learning your addition, subtraction, divisions, and multiplications. That is what you are doing, and also learning how to read. And if you read in my school, we used to be divided according to how fast you were in learning the alphabet sound. By alphabet sound, I'm talking about A being A, B being B, C being K, and all that stuff. Okay, that's grade 1 basically. When you go to grade 2, this is where now you learn to marry these sounds with other letters to make a word. And then also as you go older into high school, that's when you will learn about syllables. That a word, for example, my name, I think it's 3 syllables. No, it's 2 syllables. Clantis. Okay. I think my surname is divided into probably 3 or 4 syllables. Dumakude. Type of situation. That's how we were taught in these, in junior block. Then, of course, numbers, multiplications, etc., and so on, for you to qualify to the next class. Now, from grade 4, I remember, if you look at me, you'll see that my shoulders are not equal. They're pretty much, I can't remember, okay, I think this one is lower than this one. And the reason being, that's because our school bags, and we had to carry every exercise book and every textbook to school because you learned all those subjects in one day. I think back in my time, the period was between 20 minutes and 40 minutes. Double period was 40 minutes. Single period was like 20 minutes or something like that. This is what we carried with us. And you know, as kids, to look cool, you would put what do you call this, the shoulder of the bag on one side. So that is why now I have like uneven shoulders. Anyways, we used to do math, we used to do science, we used to do geography, we used to do biology. We did obviously English and Afrikaans. We did woodwork, needlework, handwork, landscaping, gardening, art, and music. I specialized in the recorder, and I was learning how to play the violin when I was actually taken out of my primary school coming to Joburg. And when I came to Joburg, I was transferred to a primary school in Fortsburg called Fortsburg Primary School. I think it's still Fortsburg Primary School. That now is no longer a white school. It was more like an Indian school type of situation. Even though they did have music, but they did not have the instruments, which was a bummer for me because I was learning violin and I was also going to go into the piano because I loved playing musical instruments. Anyways, that's besides the point. So now let's talk about remedial school, because this is where I believe this government is getting it all wrong. Not every child is created the same. I believe that intelligence, it is developed. No child is born intelligent. You have to get the child experience something in order for them to be knowledgeable about it. And I think that most of these schools, that's what they did. They took out the potential out of you. And if you were holding back, then they will take you to specialists. Because I remember very well, our remedial school had specialists as teachers. So if you're struggling, for example, a certain chapter in mathematics, while the rest of the class kind of get it, you will be like, in a way that nobody would see it. Like nobody would say it. You'll be removed from an ordinary class and then you'll be placed in a remedial school. Now, this is what I love about how the school setting was, so that the kids that go to remedial school do not get bullied. What they would do is, when we started school, when classes started at 8, they would start at 8:30 and then they would leave earlier. So when school comes out at 2, they came out at 1:45. So we never got to see them until they are returned back. The moment they have been dealt with at remedial, and now they understand the subject and they also understand the new chapter that we're currently doing in an ordinary class, then the child is rejoined with the general population as if they never left. Can the new education minister bring that back? Bring that back, because it helps the child to catch on. And it also opens the child's mind, because the last thing they want is to go back there, because it does have a feeling. I've never been there, but I can imagine how a child might feel that, oh my goodness, that means I'm different or stupid or whatever the case might be, and they want to be with their friends in the ordinary class. But at the same time, they get counseled before they are taken to remedial, just to make sure that they understand it's not permanent. You are coming back. The only thing that we are doing with you is to catch on with the class. All right. I remember the school, the remedial school, because the reason why I know the remedial school, I used to be a goody two-shoe, a teacher's pet, if you want, whatever. And so sometimes I would be sent to remedial. You know how a teacher would send you to another teacher? Usually, the teacher's pet would do the running around for the teacher. So I would go to remedial school, and every time when I entered there used to be this slogan, "Leave no child behind." Meaning that no child in this school is going to be left behind. Meaning no child in this school is going to fail. That is why we used to have 100% pass rate in each of the grades because of remedial school. All right. Now let's also talk about the teachers themselves. I think some teachers, because I remember, maybe it's only in high school, most of my teachers, they had a psychology degree. We did have a school psychologist. We also had a school nurse, as well as the sick room and things like that. But the one that was most important, now that I'm thinking about, is the guidance teacher. We used to have a whole subject called guidance. Now, in guidance, this is in hindsight, I'm like, oh, that was actually a psychologist, because what they did was the teachers would write a report to the guidance teacher about the individual students. They knew individual students, what the struggles were, what their talents were, etc., and so on. And then these are the same guidance teacher. Now we're going into high school. From primary school, now we're going to high school. In grade 8 to grade 9, we do all subjects. That includes art, woodwork, handwork, needlework. Yeah, we did needlework. That is why some of my former classmates are today, some of them are fashion designers. Technical work is introduced in high school, grade 8 to grade 9. I hated it because I'm not good at drawing. And I had to do art as well. I was not good at art. I just don't have that coordination whatsoever. Also drawing of angles and all of that stuff. And yet I still had to do trigonometry and geometry. But hey, that is stuff for another day. But the point that I'm trying to make is your guidance teacher observed you from the moment you passed your aptitude test. The schools that I went to, especially in high school, you entered by writing an aptitude test, basically an IQ test, to see if you are a fit in this school. Now, another thing that I kind of forgot to mention. Okay, no, I have not forgotten. Even in high school, you had junior block, you had senior block. And it also showed with the school uniforms, particularly the tie. If you were in junior block, your tie, it had lines that were horizontal. If you were in the senior block from grade 11 in my school, from grade 11 to matric, they were diagonal. The tie designs were diagonal. I think some schools as well, they also diagonal. That's how you knew that this student or this pupil was a senior or a junior. Now, what the apartheid government also did was it used psychology. You had ordinary high schools, then you also had technical schools. Now, if you look at it, the technical school's purpose was for those kids in high school that were not, how do I put this? Not that they were stupid, not stupid at all. They are the ones that believed in touching things. They are the ones that learned through seeing and touching things. Practicals, basically. And most of those obviously will be somewhere in the engineering setting type of situation, like how to fix a car engine and how to build a car engine and computers and all of that stuff. It was done by them. Now, some of us who were more wordy, and I'm talking like we learn through reading, because we can imagine what we are reading and build it in our heads, how to build a car engine. I could build it in my head while I am actually reading the text. All right? So those are the kids that went to university. They will tell you, this is your guidance teacher will tell you, you should go to a university because you learn through words. You should go to Technicon college because you do both words as well as practicals. Then you should go to technical college because you learn through your hands, by doing things with your hands. So to be a manager of, let's say, to be a manager of, Statistics South Africa. There's nothing that you are engineering there. Well, you're probably engineering numbers, but it did not need you to have come from a technical college. It needed you to come from a university. Right? Versus if you worked at Sportnet and in the engineering sector of Sportnet, of course, you either came from a university or a technical college or a technical college type of situation. Right? But all of this was advised to you by your guidance teacher. Also, your guidance teacher, when you hit grade 9, about to go to grade 10, they came and advised. First, the question was, so what subjects are you going to be taking in grade 10? If you said, oh, I want to do math, I want to do science, I want to do, or maybe science, we used to say sciences, commerce, and general. That's how we put it. And if you said, oh, I want to do sciences, and your guidance teacher thinks you are more general rather than commerce or science. And of course, sometimes those kids that did general, they were not respected because they were seen to have a reduced IQ level. Of course, this was bullying, unfortunately. But because of remedial schools as well, they helped in boosting your IQ for either commerce or sciences. So we had very few kids that did general over the other, academic blocks, if you want to put it that way. So I noticed that a guidance teacher was actually the pivotal, the heart of a school, because they get to learn about us individually and also send us to what we are going to be able to handle. That means now tertiary institutions. Sometimes if they see that you are a person that is too nurturing, because there were those that were too nurturing, and they will be told, have you ever thought of becoming a nurse? And then they will take you through orientation in the nursing schools. And in most cases, people came back and said, I think I want to be a nurse. And then they will be advised to go apply at nursing schools. Guys, when I talk about this, it really it bothers me a lot. Some kids were good at teaching, and they will tell them, for example, how did they know this? Sometimes a teacher will say, hey, Clentus, can you teach the class this a chapter that we already learned? I think they looked at your test results, and then they are confident enough to be able to say you can teach the class a certain chapter. I mean, I was one of those kids that throve in that, and then I was advised that I should be a teacher. I was like, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think I want to be a teacher. It wasn't my passion, unfortunately. But I was advised to go to teachers college because I throve. Is it throve? What's the past? It's throve. I throve in that part of academia. All right. So then the ANC dismantled all of this. It dismantled all of it. For what? Now if you look at your matric pass, there's bachelor. Hey, it's a mess. It's a mess, people. It's a mess. And there's no psychology behind this. It makes no sense. That is why you are having university students that get to university and they still can't read and write, let alone write their own notes. Because at university, it's not like in high school where a teacher would feed you. At university, every man and woman for their own. The lecturer just comes into the lecture hall and begins teaching. Yours is to write notes. You need to write notes for yourself, because these are the notes that you are going to read and study when it's time for examination. Some of them don't even know how to do it. Hence, like right now, universities just begun. They're gonna be writing their first assignments, they will be writing their first examination, and then you will see in June, a class of 600 students, suddenly it's halved into 300. By the end of 2025, that 300 is now dwindling around 125, 130. Why? Because of the education system. This education system. It's just so sad, guys. It's why fix what is not broken. The other thing that I also forgot to mention was the setting of classes as well. For example, let's say grade 11A, B, C, and D. Of course, you already know what this is all about. A is, of course, your intelligent ones. high IQ, B, the one in between, C, and the one that are beginning to struggle, but they're not struggling. And of course, D was the remedial class. Nobody called it a remedial class. But now that I'm thinking about it, that was a remedial class, because sometime during the year when you were catching on, they would take you to C. If you do better in C, they take you to B. So you find yourself being changed classes every time the new term began. You were removed from D now. Sometimes you were shot straight to A or to B. All that psychology that was played, I feel like it worked. It was working, guys. Hi, if you are finding value in this video, please do me a favor by smashing the like button and also subscribing to this channel. Please also share the video as far as wide as you can and leave a comment down below. All of these activities help this YouTube channel to grow. Please help me to grow by doing this. Thank you. Let's get back to the video. I don't know. Then let's talk about responsibilities as well that these schools had. We used to have assemblies, of course, praying and all of that stuff, singing, all of that stuff. And then we used to have like assembly prefects. And then we used to have class monitors. And then we had library monitors. And then, of course, we had teachers' pets. And I think the reason why I was finding myself as a class monitor and a library monitor is because I was teacher's pet. And I'm talking about all my teachers. And mind you, this is a white school. Then there will be excursion prefects. Yeah, whenever we went out on excursions, whether the excursion was domestic or international, definitely you were the one that in the plane, you made sure that everybody adheres to the flight attendants. When it's time to do things, you would walk around just to make sure that everybody is well behaved type of situation. Then of course we had prefect's body, which comprised of a head boy, head girl. If you went to a co-ed, I went to an all boys school, so there was a head boy, deputy head boy, and second deputy head boy, and everyone else prefects. But even there were responsibilities, like I was the secretary of the prefect's body in high school. And then we talk about sports. Of course, there were PE, physical exercises. Some people call it PT, which is still physical training. And the schools that I went to, of course, like I said, they were white, and therefore all the facilities were there and equipment. The same equipment that you see at the Olympics, we had them. And we did those sports as well. In grade 8 to 9, you did all sports. From grade 10 to matric, that's when you choose a sport. I think it was 4 winter sports and 4 summer sports, if I remember. Yeah, I think it was 4. Let me see. It was 4. Winter and 4 summer. And then of course in primary school there'll be inter-schools, but you did all the sports and all of that stuff. And then let's talk about extracurricular activities. This is drama, this is dance, this is extra lessons, debate, as well as media and rag. So this is where now if you had a school magazine, I think my time is almost up. You had school magazine with journalists that went out, and we had a school newspaper every single Tuesday. And then, of course, school choir. And then other activities that we also had, which I don't hear about anymore, is, I don't know, we still have a junior mayor. Do we still have that program? Oh, junior mayors? Yeah, junior mayors, of course, the prefect's body, as I mentioned. There used to also be a body called Student Christian Association, SCA or something like that, I can't remember. All of these things, we participated in them. If you look at it closer, when did you get the time to hang out in street corners? Because in the weekend or during the weekends, you are at school, either you are on a sports trip. If you're not on a sports trip, you are in some kind of a debate somewhere in Gauteng. If you were not there, you were busy practicing for Greece, between the school and the sister school, or you were just busy, always came back home late at night every single day, plus you still have homework, you still have to study and all of that stuff. There was no time. So all of this, I am saying, the way these things were designed to produce not only active citizens, but contributors positively into our communities, as well as upstanding citizens. That's what that system was about. And today, and I'm not saying those that have degrees and went to school, they are not positive contributing members of society. You are. But I think it just ends there. That is why if you look, okay, I know some people would say, oh, but they always had money. Cool, yeah, I agree. But now it's open to us as well, where we can open book clubs and have belong to like some kind of a club or some sort, and still enhance our knowledge, but not only knowledge, because now we are older, but connections, business connections, academic connections, just connections. Because I feel like this is where things kind of like drifted us apart, where now it was about black and white. Can you imagine if it was never about black and white, apartheid excuse and all of that stuff? This could have brought us together. I believe Johann Rupert and the Oppenheimers and all those people, they may have opened up a bit in ensuring that whoever they networked with and they were able to see their potential, they would have funded and even partnered with them, and we would have produced more black millionaires today. But because the ANC was playing a race card game, we just drifted and to a point where now we distrust each other. We completely distrust each other. The last school that I forgot to mention, the high school, was a technical school. The only one that, in fact, two that I know, it is Langlaagte. I don't know if it's still a technical school or it's now an ordinary school, because the ANC is just destroying everything. Langlaagte Technical School. I remember we visited there and I was so impressed with everything they had in there. They even had a whole aeroplane at one point. A whole aeroplane. And I think they did take it to some, I think it was Rand Afrikaans, no, is it Rand something airport? And they actually flew it at some point. Yeah, this is South Africa today, guys. And I might be all over the place with this video, but if I left out something, please put it in the comment section what you remember schools used to have. Obviously, all the schools that I went to, including primary school, we had a biology lab, we had a science lab as well, with all the amenities or the equipment you can think of. I remember in high school we used to create fat bombs. Remember I think it was with sulfur. Stuck up the entire school if we wanted to. Of course, we'd be told not to do that, but somewhere, somehow, there will always be that one boy who is curious, who'll be like, what will happen if the entire school will stick? Of course, we were wearing protective gear, goggles, white coats, and all that stuff. It was fun. It was so fun, you guys. In hindsight, now that I'm thinking about it was a psychology behind the division or the setup of our schooling in South Africa while we had these kind of schools. And I understand, and I very much understand that not all schools, particularly in the townships and in the rural area, they never experienced probably what I'm talking about. I remember, no, let me leave this one. There's a lot, guys. There's just so much that I am reminiscing about, why I feel so passionate. Maybe I should have been a teacher. I think my guidance teacher had it right. Probably I should have, because I feel so passionate about our education system. And I resent the current education system so much. I cannot tolerate it. Somebody did say in the comment section it's called OBE. I forgot to check what it stands for, but I'll check it. It's called OBE, this one. Let me tell you something, government, it is shit. You need to change it. You need to go back to the basics, take what worked and implement. And whatever that did not work, just get rid of it. Because this is not working. It's not producing geniuses, I'm afraid. I mean, when last you heard a student invented something? And to invent, you need to stretch this. Anyways, guys, I think that is that I wanted to say in this video. Please do remind me. Oh yeah, apprenticeship. I forgot to talk about apprenticeship, as well as those that finished technical and technicon. They would go for a 2-year practicals, and before they were full-time employed. And also, if you struggled in the ordinary school, like really struggled, and you were failing, and even the school system itself just didn't know what to do anymore, what they did is they would advise you to go to a technical college. I think technical college, it started from 10th grade, so you could leave the ordinary high school at 10th grade, and then you go to a technical college. And I think they used to start at N3, I could be wrong, N3 to about N5, which is an equivalent of grade 10, 11, and 12. But there, everything, it's hands. You are fixing something, you are building something, you are doing something with your hands. And then you go to a technicon college, or a technicon, was it called Technicon University? I can't remember what it was called, like Wits, Technicon. And I remember those that were rejected by Wits University, it used to be quite funny. I know some of y'all might be opening old wounds. If you did not qualify for Wits University used to write you a letter, a recommendation letter to go just down the road to Wits Tech. And that pissed off a lot of people. And as a result, some of them resented Wits University. But I always said, just go do your first year at Wits Tech, and then if you do well, then you bring your performance report to Wits University, and you continue. Yes, they might take you a year back to first year, but the whole point was for you to go to Wits. I mean, I advised a friend of mine who was not accepted at Wits, and then I said, go and do first year at Wits Tech as the letter, because you get accepted there because of that letter. It held a lot of weight. And then from there you come back to Wits, and that's what he did. And he graduated at Wits University in the end. It was fun, guys. Oh my goodness, it was so fun. It was so fun. But, I don't know, those old hags, they took everything from us. From all of us. Sad. It's just so sad. Anyways, guys, let me leave it here. Please, let's participate in the comment section. I see I'm beginning to get negative comments. Let me tell you something. Your negativity, it's what you sleep with. It makes who you are. Just who you are. If nobody ever told you, that's who you are. Just nasty. Nasty human being. Just nasty. That's who you are. And it doesn't bother me in one bit, but I will respond to you. I will respond to you. Because, like I said, I'm a Cancer. I shoot from the hip. I love challenges. So, anyways, don't leave this video without liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And thank you so much for the super thanks. I highly appreciate the donations, guys. They mean a lot to me. Yeah, let's see each other in my next video. Goodbye.